To learn coding, you need to pick up programming language first. Let's start with that. We have many options here, but I'll talk about the most popular ones if you want to pick the easiest option as a beginner. I recommend the first option, which is Python. That's because Python is very similar to writing in English. For example, if you have a list of numbers and for each number in the list, you want to print it on the screen. Well, it's already done. Let's say you pick Python now. You need a step-by-step roadmap to learn Python. More than 4 million programmers already know that the best part to learn Python and actually get a job. If you're someone who's scared of programming like I was in the beginning, or if you already tried other programming languages but failed to learn coding, Python is the right choice for you. But if you're willing to take up the challenge and want to open more opportunities for yourself in the tech industry, the second programming language, JavaScript, might be a better option for you in this programming language. JavaScript is a popular programming language used for creating dynamic and interactive web pages. It was developed in the mid-1990s and has since become an essential tool for web developers. JavaScript is used to add interactivity to web pages, create animations, and manipulate the DOM, document object model. It is also used for creating web applications, server-side programming, and game development. The final alternative I have for you is that you should study web programming. There are two phases of web development. Back-end development determines what occurs on the server side when you perform an action on the website, whereas front-end development helps you control how the website appears and functions. Don't worry if you don't understand what all of these terms represent. I'll give you all you need to know today for front-end programming. 3 building blocks, HTML, make up our system. JavaScript and CSS. CSS by itself is frequently insufficient. A CSS framework may be required to make your life simpler. The same is true for JavaScript. Depending on the type of application you're developing, you might use a JavaScript framework or library like Angular or React, which are both widely used in the industry. It concludes the front-end step-by-step procedure, and this video has all the free materials for everything I just described. A portion of development's back-end is covered in this video. Much as you would need a framework like Django for Python and Express for JavaScript on the front end to make your life easier, you could wish to learn a server-side language like Python or utilize JavaScript with the aid of Node for the back-end. This approach, as you can see, is a little bit longer than the previous two we mentioned. Because of this, if you lack long-term motivation or are afraid of programming, this career path is not for you. Yet, if you can persevere and gain all the abilities necessary to become a competent web developer, taking this route essentially ensures you'll land a solid job in the end. The only qualification I would like to make at this point is that there is currently a significant no-code movement. People may now create websites without writing any code because to this movement. Although there is now a large demand for web developers, many individuals think that the future of web development is uncertain. To be fair, because of how quickly things change in the technology sector, the future of most innovations is unknown. Thus, I wouldn't base a decision on my anxiety about the future. As your job develops, you will inevitably need to master a ton of different technologies. Once you become proficient in one, choosing others won't be too difficult. In the end, your particular demands and the circumstances surrounding your project will determine whether you should choose Python or JavaScript. The better option may be JavaScript if you're creating a web application. Python might be a better choice if you're dealing with machine learning or data analysis. It's important to keep in mind that the two languages can occasionally be combined. For instance, utilizing Python for the back-end and JavaScript for the front-end. And as Socrates famously said, "I cannot teach anybody anything, I can only make them think." My goal in this video is to ask you questions and help you decide what will work for you. Software engineering is all about trade-offs. Once you have built the basic programming skills, I'm sure you want to get paid to write code. One way to do that is to become a freelancer and go to websites like Fiverr or Upwork to find clients by just learning basics of Python or JavaScript. Your chances of becoming a freelancer are minimal because the majority of open positions demand knowledge of web development or mobile development. Working as a software engineer for a tech firm is another safer choice for you. When you apply for a job at a tech company, they will conduct coding interviews to determine whether you have the necessary skills, especially for web development tasks. Larger firms may be able to hire you with the abilities you have already acquired, particularly for the rules and backend you may have gained by learning Python or Java, and they may even ask you interview questions in an algorithmic fashion. Many people seem to hate these interviews, but for me personally, cracking these interviews have opened so many doors. So I highly recommend preparing for these interviews. To prepare for these interviews, you need to master data structures and algorithms. It's okay if you don't understand what I said. You must understand that understanding math is necessary in order to respond to this type of inquiry in an interview that uses an algorithm. As I indicated before, in certain circumstances, you don't even have to go through these algorithmic style interviews. Yet, in most cases, the interview will ask you to depart from your method once you have finished loading up your solution. One thing is to learn math, data structures, and algorithms. Nevertheless, passing the actual coding interview is a completely different animal. This is due to the fact that the lessons you've learned so far are simply theoretical and that you haven't at all put your skills as a software engineer under stress. Stress testing is putting your program to the test in challenging circumstances. If you made it this far in the video, a popular method of stress testing the services is to overwhelm them with a large number of artificially produced requests to determine whether they can survive the load. You may have already put my stuff under pressure. I therefore urge you to subscribe to my channel. For coding interviews, you must stress test yourself. My name is Marvelous and I'll see the transformed you in the next video.